If you get asked for your salary expectation before you have an offer in hand, and this could happen in early screening calls, don't give a number. Two reasons. You could either be underpricing yourself or you could be outpricing yourself out of that position. Rather, you should say something like, I would like us to align on the scope of this role. Do you mind telling me what the budgeted range for this position is? That answer works because it's not evasive and it's professional. Again, it doesn't position you as somebody who hasn't done their research. So the recruiter or whoever is asking you, maybe the hiring manager, is most likely to share a range with you. There's a possibility that you could meet somebody who is not willing to share a range. And that's the reason why you should have done your research before going into this conversation. Usually, it's not always the case though. Whoever names a number first is at a disadvantage. So if you can get them to share a range with you before you commit to a figure, please do it. It's easier for you to negotiate up than for you to share a number and ask to go up from there. If you mention a number that is out of their range, they most likely won't negotiate with you. They'll walk away from that conversation. Guys, we made it to the final secure the bag offer. You did the hard work. Well done. You tailored your resume, you attended the interview, you owned the room, and now they are calling to make you an offer. Everything we've been building led us up until this moment. Well done. Congratulations. But this is where most people give it away. They get the call, they feel the relief of being chosen, and then they say yes to the first number that is being offered to them. Not necessarily because they feel that number is a fair number, but sometimes people don't even know that they are allowed to negotiate. People are not aware that they are leaving money on the table. But I want to tell you today, every time you say yes to the first number, you're leaving money on the table. For others, they may even be aware that there is room to potentially increase the offer, but they are afraid that asking can cost them the offer entirely. The truth is, you are almost always allowed to negotiate. Negotiating professionally can never cost you the offer. On the other hand, I think it sets the tone for how you'll be valued when you join the organization from day one. You just need to know your number before you go into the conversation. You need to be able to ask professionally. You need to know how to handle pushbacks because there could be pushbacks. You also need to know how to handle the conversation if they say no to negotiation in a way that the relationship is intact and it's not affected. Before you say a single word in a negotiation, there are two numbers you need to know. You need to know your target number, the number that you want. Number two, you need to know your minimum acceptable number. That number that you know that beyond this point, it doesn't make financial sense to you anymore. And at that point, you're willing to walk away from the offer. To find your target number, you need to do market research. Check LinkedIn Salary Insights, Glassdoor. There are a number of other websites that you can also use to do your research. Another thing that can help is to have conversations with your peers in the same industry. For example, if you're in tech, you can gather data points from other people who have the same title to the one that you've applied for. Look at the range for your role, your level, your city, your industry, because that job title in industry A may earn differently from the same job title in industry B. And in this way, you are building a case. When you walk into the conversation with data, it's no longer emotion. Another thing that is really important is your experience and your skills. If there's a skill gap that was identified and was pointed to you during the interview, the organization may want to keep you at the bottom end of their range. However, if you're highly skilled and highly experienced, it gives you the opportunity to earn on the higher end of the range. Now, usually when they want to make you an offer, you could get a call or an email with something like, "Hello, Coinsola, are you still looking for a job? Are you still interested in this role? They're about to make you an offer. When they finally get on the phone with you, it's okay to express excitement and your enthusiasm. However, don't give an answer immediately. I want you to say something along the lines of, thank you very much. I'm genuinely excited about this opportunity. Would it be okay for me to review this and get back to you by the end of day tomorrow or by the end of next week? Whichever one works for them, they'll let you know. But this gives you more time to think clearly. It gives you more time to review the full package and maybe even do more market research to prepare your counter, because you are going to be asking for more. Now, when the next day comes or the next week comes, this is the hardest part. You are going to palpitate. Your heart is going to beat. But you are going to lead the conversation with enthusiasm. You're going to sound excited. You are going to say thank you once again and that you are still excited about the opportunity. The reason is you don't want to come to the conversation like you are threatening them. You want to come as somebody who is actually having a conversation with another person who wants this negotiation to work. After you've led with enthusiasm, you would mention your number with a reason. Back it up with the investigation that you've done. And when you said that number, keep quiet. Now, if the silence goes on for too long, you want to invite a response. You can say something along the lines of, is there any flexibility there? Or is this something we can work towards for the future? If the salary is fixed and the organization genuinely cannot move up on the offer, there are a few things that you may be able to negotiate that will be different from the base pay. For example, some people can negotiate a sign-on bonus. A sign-on bonus would make sense if we are in the middle or towards the end of a financial year, and leaving my organization means that I won't earn my performance bonus in my current organization. And then crossing over to this organization, my tenure or my stay would have been too short for me to earn a performance bonus. In that case, a sign-on bonus makes perfect sense. You may also be able to negotiate a hybrid work arrangement where you're saving on transport costs to augment your salary. You are able to work in the convenience of your home. Another thing that you can negotiate is additional vacation days. If vacation days for the role would ideally be 15 days, you can negotiate anywhere between 18 to 20 days, giving you 3 to 5 additional business days. When you are going into this kind of conversation, it's best to mentally prepare for any response. It's not always black and white. There could be gray areas. They could say yes, they could say no, or they could say something in between. Like, oh, we can't do X, but we can do Y. You need to be able to know if Y is acceptable to you. If they say the salary band is fixed, you are going to say you completely understand and ask if there's any flexibility around the sign-on bonus. Remember to continue to sound excited and enthusiastic. Let them know that you really want this to work. If possible, ask them, is it possible to have an early performance review at 6 months because you really want this to work? And if they review your performance at 6 months, they may be able to increase your salary upwards. They may say they need more time to go and discuss it with their leaders in the office. And when they do come back to you, it may still not be the offer that you want. Again, start with appreciation. Thank you for taking time to work on this, but we are still a bit far from where I am. We've not landed on where I was hoping we would land. Do you think we could do X, Y, Z to bridge the gap? Or if you don't know what X, Y, Z is, ask them, is there anything else we can do to bridge the gap? Some of the things that are overlooked are things like stock options. There may also be other perks like contributions that the organization will be willing to match. If your current organization does not do it, that may be something that is worth looking into. If they say it's a take it or leave it offer, don't respond with emotions. Again, thank them. Thank them for the transparency and ask for more time to carefully review everything that has been discussed. If the offer is lower than your minimum acceptable offer, you have your answer. You know what to do. If it's higher than that, you may want to consider it and say yes to them. One thing I'd like us to keep in mind for every negotiation though is that the goal is not to win. It's not supposed to be a win-lose situation. It's supposed to be a win-win situation for both parties. What that should do for you is to land you in a position where when you walk into the organization on day one, you feel valued, not resentful. A negotiation that is handled well, even if it doesn't land you where you had hoped, it still builds respect. The hiring manager is always going to remember how you stood up for yourself. Please don't ever negotiate with an ultimatum, and don't negotiate roughly with an offer that you're not prepared to walk away from. I'm very proud of everyone that has followed the series from the beginning up until this point. We covered your elevator pitch, we covered your LinkedIn, we did resumes, interviews, and now the offer. This is the full arc. This is the bag. Now go and secure it. But we are not done, because securing the bag is just the beginning. Once you are in, how do you thrive? How do you build relationships, get seen, grow your career, and still keep your peace? That's what we are going to talk about in our next series. You know what? Drop a comment. Are you actively in a negotiation, or is one coming up for you soon? Let's talk about it. Remember to subscribe if you've not already done so. Again, remember to share this channel with your friends. Remember to click the notification bell so that every time I drop a new video, you're the first one to be aware. Until next time, it's your girl.